And welcome to Jedi and the Mailman, the show where two old friends aim to deliver the best Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman. That's Jimmy the Old Guy Jedi. And the grumpy old men are back.
Yeah,
Nobody here. No exciting, enthusiastic young people. Just us grumpy old
we're
suckers.
like, what are those two guys in the Muppets?
Yes. Oh, I forget what their names
It was
are.
like
But
Winston and, gosh, what are those guys' names? Dang it, we're like them. We're those guys in
yes.
Star Wars.
Sitting up in the balcony making fun of everybody.
Hang on a second. Two old grumps. Oh man, it said Muppets. I tell you that Big Brother is listening. They should have known that. Statler and Waldorf.
There we
You're
go.
taller, so you have to be Waldorf, I think.
That's fine. Waldorf is a
So I'm
much cooler name.
Statler. So,
Excellent.
oh man.
Check out my new t-shirt.
Oh, very cool. St. Patty's
Yeah.
Day
Yep.
inspired.
My wife bought it for me today. $3 on clearance. Can't beat it.
Nice. Heck yeah, that's the way to do it. So, Mike's, how's your week? It doesn't feel like it's longer than a week whenever we get. I know we
Yeah.
haven't talked as much during the week as we have, you know, recently. I know we've both been pretty busy, but it feels
Yes.
like it's been like 2 months since you and I have just chatted.
Yeah.
Like, right? I love having the people on the show that we've had. It's been
Oh, me too.
awesome. They bring a
hmm
lot more to the show than we can. So,
yeah.
but it's weird. Like it feels like it's been a while for just the
Yeah.
two of us.
Yeah. Because, like
You
you
know,
say, I mean, we chat throughout the week and whatnot, but I'll tell you, I've
mostly
been
complaining about the
incredibly,
Steelers.
yes, I've been incredibly busy. Really, it's first world problems, buddy. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, we, we used to have the inflatable hot tub and the heater burnout in it.
Uh-huh.
So we've been without a hot tub for a while.
Oh
I
no.
know it's
You
terrible.
might as well just
It's
end
terrible.
this. Just
I know. So rather
toaster
than
in the bathtub, folks. Here we
rather
comes.
than rather than go buy another cheap one, we started shopping around and we decided to go all in and get the big boy. And we back in January is when we made the leap. And at the time, because we were ordering it, like they didn't have that one in stock, we had to order it. So they told us it wouldn't be in until maybe May, which is fine because I had a lot of work out back to do. You can set up an inflatable hot tub on a fairly level surface, but you're spending the money on a good thing. You want to make sure the base is where it needed
Oh
to
yeah,
be.
it's gotta be solid.
So they called me last week and said, "Hey, your hot tub's in. You ready for it?" I'm like,
Fine.
"No, I am not." The
It's a lot of work.
weather had just turned, so I was able to get out and do the work, but it's been all last weekend and then every night after work, just working on building a deck, trying to get it ready. So, like I said, real first world problems here. But such
Yeah.
as it is. So, how you been? You're on spring break now,
We
right?
are in spring break. We're still practicing
Mhm.
and all that stuff. Uh, but it's nice little wind down. I mean, you would think break, but I mean, it's like we're doing everything that we haven't had time to do
Yeah.
during the school year. But no, it's good. It's a recharge. The girls are practicing hard in the mornings. Then we get the afternoon. But I'm a weird kind of guy. Like if I was off without practice, I'd get up at like 5 and work until noon and kind of be done.
Yeah.
Like just mentally. And then now it kind of throws me off. It's weird, but yeah, it's been good. Um, can't really complain. Catching up on some stuff. Like I
Yeah.
said, just getting ready. And then 3 weeks of school, and then I'll be off to Japan, which is pretty exciting.
It's
I
coming
will
quick.
say that my excitement level is growing over the last couple of days. I mean, I'm excited to go to
Yeah.
Japan, like it's Japan, man.
Yeah.
And then just some of the people we'll get to see. I mean, I haven't seen Jack. It's been since London.
Yeah.
And then just vacation, and then of course we were live on Sunday with Spencer from Virtual Cantina, and he dropped that we're getting the Toy Father, the guy who created the original stuff that you and I played with as a kid, will be at his
Mhm.
event, taking photos and signing and some other stuff. And then they just dropped last night that Kiriana
Yeah.
Crater,
Well,
KB is going to be there too, and I'm really excited for that. She's
you
flying
had
over
to
there
be
for that
real
event.
dense though if you didn't get that drop on you guys' show though. Like the hint that he gave.
Oh,
Everybody knew.
yeah. I felt like yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like, I was like, well, you're not really trying to hide it, but
Yeah.
some people don't know. I mean, they may not
Yeah, I
catch that,
suppose.
but I mean, they don't cover it as much as we do or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, we were like, wow, like and
That is
I kind
amazing.
of at first I forgot he did that on air. I thought he said that
Yeah.
to us off air, and I was like, wait, no, that was on air when I was editing things, and I was like, oh, geez, he basically gave it away. But I
Yeah.
hopped on that feed last night. If you guys, you know, I know we only go Tuesday nights and stuff like that right now. I'll probably add Thursday in the summer, but um, the virtual canteen, they have something different every night.
Mhm.
And that was one of the first or second times I've logged into it. They're a lot of fun, like just different people, different
Yeah.
experiences. Um, they were watching that Monday, or was it what was last night? Last night was Monday. Yeah,
Yes.
Monday.
Yes.
They were watching like the Clone Wars, like micro
Hmm.
episodes, like those really weird. Was it Tchaikovsky or whatever? Just real crazy uh, Clone Wars that came out before the Clone Wars,
Clone Wars. Yeah.
and they're just fun to listen to and talk, and we're having chats back and forth. But you should check them out if you get bored. Definitely give them a look. And they have, like I said, they have different things every night, like different groups of
Hmm.
people. Like they have a pretty big network,
Group.
so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. But yeah, it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. And I think you and I are going to talk a little bit about the panels, right?
Hmm.
So we'll start off with that before we dive into our main topic. But they released, and I know we talked about it here a little bit, the panels. And if you hadn't been to, I want to make people understand too. Like, I sound like I'm crying about getting to go to Japan and Star Wars Celebration, but like, we are spending our money to
Yeah.
fly to an event. It's not cheap to fly to Japan. It's not cheap to stay there. We'll eat and do all those things and spend some money when we're there, which is fine. I'm glad we're in a position to do that. But I wasn't super pumped when they announced those first four panels.
Yeah.
I felt it was a little underwhelming. I don't know if anyone who's listening that's going or, is following along what you guys thought of that. Um, but we'll just take a quick look. I don't know this was a couple days ago, might even been a week ago now. See if I can bring this up real quick. Share screen. Let's go to panels. We'll go like that. And then there we go. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger if I can. See if that works. Nope, that covers it all up. All right. So you got Friday, right? Kicking off. You got these things every day. But so on Friday, we've got living your Star Wars story in the theme parks. That'd be cool. I mean, that's more for people who live close enough to the theme parks to go there all the time. We have
Yeah.
some friends that do that. So then you got the big panel, Mandalorian and Grogu, which is exciting. They'll be streaming that in their they'll have a main stage here, celebration stages like the main stage, and then Galaxy and Twin Suns you'll go in there and they'll have this massive
Big
TV screen
screens.
and they'll be projecting
Yeah.
that live so you don't get cut out of it. Um, my friends from Who's the Boss, they just have some different things here. Star Wars has, there's stuff for everybody, and it's kind of cool. Like Star Wars TV ads through the years, like
Yeah.
that's kind of fun. Like, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what that'll be, but I mean, we won't. Hopefully, we'll be in the main panel. I always feel bad and concerned for people that have to like compete. Like, who's the boss competing against the big one? They might get some
Yeah.
overflow. It'll depend on how they have it set up. And plus, they're streaming them supposedly now too, so you guys will be able to watch from home. That's what they're
Hmm.
saying. And then, of course, the big panel, 11:30 a.m. Explore the Force, HoloNet new
Yeah,
stage.
buddy.
Be there. We will have giveaways. We got 3 cool things. One of them you can see behind Mike. I got an extra one of those. We'll be talking about the Japanese influence on Star Wars. So we're excited about that. And again, it's either a 100th episode or it's the start of our next 100 episodes. So yeah,
Yeah.
that we'll have that R2D2 build. We've got a Black Series of Jackson and something else to give away. So we're pretty excited for that. And that Mike can attest that's a fun build.
It is fun. Yeah. I had a
So
good time over a few days putting her together.
yeah. And then unfortunately, no one's going to go to the Hasbro Star Wars panel then because no one's, they're all going to be
Yeah. I
crammed in. Maybe the people who don't get into Explore the Force panel will go to the
might have to
Hasbro stage,
settle.
but
Yeah.
that's always fun to see what they're giving up and what they're what's coming down the line. They have
Yeah.
all kinds of great things. There's another one, Light and Magic, A Glimpse of Magic season 2. So there's another. Did you watch Industrial Light and Magic on?
I haven't seen it
All
now.
right, so that's something you could watch if you get bored. Um, they just do this whole behind the scenes of Industrial Light and Magic on Disney
Yeah.
Plus. So now there's a season 2 coming out. So we'll get a glimpse of that. That's something I want to go see. We've got what we got here? Star Wars in the 90s, video games, Star Wars origami, and then there's publishing. What else do we got? Japanese collectibles. There's a big one. Where the heck is it? Lucas Animation anniversary. I don't know if I can click on it. It'll do anything. Nope. Oh yeah, there it is. Dave Filoni, Athena Portillo celebrate 20 years. So that's kind of exciting. And everyone's assuming that
They're going to announce something.
they're going to announce something. They'll give us a trailer of something. 20 years of animation, and because we got that big empty spot after Andor.
Yeah.
The month of Andor. We know we have Vision season 3 coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of good stuff here. Doug Chang's going to talk, and if he is so passionate about Star Wars and just talking about George, and I got to see him in Anaheim. Saw him in Anaheim talk. That was really good. Super, like, just really sweet, really nice. People asking questions. He's giving these like heartfelt answers to it. It was really awesome. Then at London, I just ran into him by accident, and he's like, "Hey, can I get a photo?" He's like, "Yeah." I just got to thank him for everything he does for Star Wars. Saturday, we've got the 2 big ones, Andor, Star Wars Story. We're hoping, of course, that a lot of times they will do
give you a sneak preview.
Give us a sneak preview, or you'll get to come back. Like we'll get another trailer. I mean, it releases in like 3 days after this, so it's not like it's going to be. We had to wait too much longer. But at Anaheim, they showed the first 2 episodes of Kenobi, and you got to go back and watch. And then at London, they showed an episode or 2 of Mando, and it's just the experience. Like you talked to Jack, it's just the experience of getting to do that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Watching that.
Although, like giving a sneak preview of Andor season 2, if they only gave you like 1 episode, that'd be a bit of a ripoff because you need the 3, right?
Yeah.
And to get all 3, you're sitting there watching a movie. So
yeah,
they have time to do that,
They brought us back the last 2 years. They brought us back after it closed.
Okay.
So like it closes at 5 o'clock each day, I believe, and they brought you back at like 6 or 7, and like the stars from the show were there and introduce it.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Like to be able to see a Star Wars movie, like the whole thing, with the biggest Star Wars fans in the world. You know what I mean? That would be a hell of an experience.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. We've got a bunch of different people on the HoloNet news stage, and I know that I'm going to try to sneak into a bunch of those if I can, like just give support to people. I'm a little intimidated because, we're not in an English-speaking country. So I wonder how that's going to go. You know what I mean? Like, are a lot of the people who don't speak English going to come in and listen to us? Maybe just out of respect they do. Who knows? But it's pretty cool. Star Wars shadow puppets. Science of the Revenge of the Sith. Sometimes these things are really awesome. I did an ILM one once, and it was crazy, the stuff that they showed us. Then you have Ahsoka at 1 o'clock. I still don't. I'm assuming that we're getting because I know Rosario's there and Hayden's there. I'm not sure who else is going to show up. If they're going to, Dave Filoni will be there all weekend. So are they going to talk about season 1, and then maybe we get a glimpse of season 2, which that would be huge. Now you do only get one of the big panels each day, supposedly. But so Jack and I are going to try to split our tickets, and I also have 2 tickets, 3-day tickets.
Yeah,
by accident. So, pretty excited for that. So we'll have up my chances a little bit. Some just different things celebrating the stories of Jedi Fallen Order. So that'll be a fan production. So you got fans doing stuff. You got Disney, Lucasfilm doing things. It's pretty nuts. And then at the end of 2:45, you have a conversation with Oscar Isaac. So everyone thinks that's going to be like a reminiscing about, just reminiscent about being part of the sequel trilogy. We got Tahu here. He says, I think it'd be cool to walk into your panel and be like, bro, dude, I would freak out, jump up, run across the stage, give you about.
Are you going to Celebration?
I mean, he's closer than we are right now.
Yeah, much closer. Yeah.
So, So this is all up here. Screening of Siege of Mandalore. That's a lot of fun. I did that in Anaheim, but there's a ton of stuff. Just a bunch of different things. Sunday we'll get the closing ceremonies, but before that, I'm trying to find where's the main episode. First look at Visions season 3, so that'll be kind of fun. And things start to wind down. People come and go. Saturday is usually the biggest day.
Yeah.
We'll be in there doing things and then getting ready. Kind of. Then we got ILML presents Mandalorian and Beyond, behind the scenes of the Mandalorian. So this will be really cool. People probably overlook this one, but they'll show you all kinds of like cool stuff with like the volume and things like that, and just be killing it. So those ones are a lot of fun, and those people, they don't get a chance to be like the stars very often, so like they feel all this love and they're just like talking to you, and it's pretty fun. And then the Fett family, so we're gonna get Daniel Logan and Tam Morris up there talking. That'll be fun. But yeah, so I will say Rebels finale, well, that's pretty cool. That'll be fun to watch. I mean, not fun because it's pretty damn sad, but
Really
watching
sad.
that with the group, and then closing ceremonies, and it's over at 3:30 on Sunday. So have some time to go and do things with some friends. Maybe we got lots of people there.
Yeah. I think everybody's
nice. Loves his rugby
in July.
Nice.
But yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping for some sort of big announcement or something like that. But I mean, you kind of have to look at where Star Wars is right now, and there's nothing to announce really, unless they really had something under wraps. But we know what's going on with all the movies, and nothing's in production except for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So yeah, it is what it is.
I'm hoping for a trailer for that. That'd be pretty cool. But the problem with it is we get that trailer now, and then we just got to sit on it.
Wait,
like, some people will show it illegally on YouTube. I don't know how the hell they do that. Like, I'm always so nervous when I'm in those panels. Like, I want to be able to like take notes and things like that, because like sometimes you get so wound up. Like, I want to be able to report what's happening. And I got to try to figure out how to do that without getting like, I don't want to do anything that I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah. But well, this is why you're partnered with Jack.
Because
Jack is willing to do the things. Yeah.
You'll need to sit far away from me so that when he gets caught, I don't get in trouble. But yeah, that'll be it'll be fun. And the excitement for like a lot of the smaller ones, and I kind of got pushed into those the last 2 years because I wasn't getting the big panels and stuff like that. And I kind of found some joy in those where you just find people who may not be like the big flashing ones, but man, those people are so excited to be part of Star Wars. It's infectious. Like Doug Chang was phenomenal. I can't even he was like the best panel I saw at Anaheim. Of course, High Republic stuff, but there's some stuff with publishing, but there's not a lot going on there either. It is kind of a down time for Star Wars to be having a celebration. I mean, it kind of makes me wonder, like, did they plan this out properly? Because, but they did have writer strikes and stuff like that. So that would have, in those 2 years that we've been gone.
I think you've gotten lucky with the past few because, with Disney acquiring Star Wars and just pumping everything out. So those last few celebrations you've been a part of, they've had so much on the slate. And here we've come to the end of that. So you got to kind of, I suppose you got to kind of transition into what celebration is now. And I mean, it's probably what it was originally, is just to celebrate. You just fans celebrating, getting together and sharing the one thing that they all have in common, the joy of and love of Star Wars, and, getting to connect with those sort of people. Like you said, just the passion that these people bring to what they're doing, it's infectious, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and especially with, having been doing this for almost 2 years now, we made a big group of friends, and other content creators are going to be there, and a couple of the young ladies that were on our show the last couple of weeks, both of them are going to be there, so that'll be exciting. And I know like Jedi Lex is going to be there. Like I was just on their show last week, and we're going to try to like meet up and maybe do some stuff together, hang out, do dinner, just get together and hang out outside of Star Wars a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk Star Wars, but every time we get together on the screen, it's to talk Star Wars and chat a little bit. But it'll be fun to just kind of get to know these people a little bit more
Yeah.
outside of Star Wars as well. So I'm really excited
Yeah.
for that. But
Having a
um,
chat that's not for published content, you know?
yes, yes, you can say some things. You can, I mean, not that I'm not myself on this show, but we are
Right.
family friendly and all that good stuff too. But yeah, so I'm excited. I will say that I know I wasn't kind of negative there for a while, but as we get closer, I mean, I'm not super pumped for an airplane ride, 16 hours,
It's
but
a long flight.
um, yeah, that'll be the longest one. I did like 12 or 14 hours once
Yeah.
to Italy, and that was kind of
Mhm.
rough. I mean, oh no, I had to fly to Italy.
I know.
Um, you
That's
know,
my
I
longest
just
flight too.
yeah, like but again, folks, I'm not complaining
Yeah.
about my hard life.
Uh,
Um, just it's not fun. I mean, but yeah. Anyway, so Mike, tell the people why we are here today.
we are here today to talk a little bit of Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
So, with Andor season 2 coming out, we've been trying to figure out ways that we can talk about Andor without just, talking about Andor season 1 and be like, hey, remember this and remember that. And I mean, you guys did a fantastic job. I mean, Charlie uh, led you through that article and whatnot, and get a really good talk on
Yeah,
today's
we had to
show.
fast
But
forward that last half. Like we
yeah,
only went through the first half of her notes, and that was like in an hour. We're like, all right, we're like texting behind it, like, dude, we gotta pick it because I mean, we had talked about it being 2 hours, but I was like, I
yeah,
don't know if I can talk for 2 hours, But yeah, Charlie did an amazing job with those
yeah,
notes.
yeah. It
So
was a great story, but you try to look at different angles of ways to attack these different things and come up with something interesting. And Saw Gerrera is a really interesting character. I sent you that article that kind of piqued my interest, and yeah, so we're just gonna chat a little bit about the man
all right,
Saw.
let me see if I can share my screen here. Let me take some of that crap off our page here. All right. So, yeah. So we presented this. Who is? Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Who is Saw Gerrera? So we got him here and here, and just to recap. So I watched. Being on spring break was kind of convenient for this because I sat down and I watched the first 4 episodes of Clone Wars that he was introduced in. I
Mm.
did a deep dive with this guy too, and then it turned into this whole history lesson. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you one of those. But um, so here's a quote from this is the 4th episode that he's part of. I just thought it was kind of fitting to put. I'm not a terrorist. I'm a patriot, and resistance is not terrorism. Saw Gerrera, and he's talking to the king he's trying to put back into place at this time. And I thought this kind of summed him up because he does blur that line.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something we'll talk about here. I got some notes, things for us to talk about, but of course, this conversation can go anywhere it wants to go. And anyone out there who has thoughts on Saw Gerrera, you need to let us have them so that we can, keep this conversation going. But so first, some background information. I thought this was pretty cool, and it's been out in the public now too. That they had that television series that they were going to create, the Underworld series. It was going
Hmm.
to cost like $40 million an episode back in the day.
Yep.
It sounds like Saw Gerrera was going to be a huge part of that because he was created for this live action show.
Hmm.
As far as I know, and anybody else knows, I don't think that there was another one ready. Like it's just that it was that underground world. So Saw Gerrera was actually created by George Lucas. Maybe that's why everyone loves him so much. I don't know if anyone knows that though. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like I
didn't.
see it as I didn't know that until I researched them. Right? I don't
Yeah.
typically just like, oh, I'm going to research these random people. And then this one I thought was kind of crazy. Is it's a mnemonic riff off the name of the Argentinian revolutionary Che Guevara. He's the one of the people that helped overthrow Cuba and take it over.
Hmm.
So George had a specific kind of person in mind, a Marxist, he's a socialist. Che was as a hero of, of that rebellion. I mean, again, it depends on which side of that line you fall on, right?
Yep.
He's a hero to some people, and he's the enemy to other people. But he had, I mean, he leads a revolution, and so Saw Gerrera is kind of based off that. I thought that was really kind of telling of what that show may have been,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if that's the kind of person you're basing someone off as, like, is there going to be revolution happening in that show? Was it kind of, you know, Andor before Andor? You know what I mean? Like, what was going to happen if it's going to cost $40 million to make every episode? So who knows? And then some appearances. I don't know. I think I got these in the right order, but I'm not sure. But his first appearance, 2012, Clone Wars Season 5, Episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5, the Onderon arc. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then, of course, we had 2016, it was in Rogue One. I cannot believe it was only 4 years difference between Clone Wars and Rogue One. Like, I felt like
Yeah.
it was going to be like a 10-year gap. It was only
It
4
kind of
years.
seems that
So,
way.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, wait, what? 2016? No way." It was
Everything
kind
in
of
the past sort of blurs together. It's
yeah.
hard to keep it straight.
Of course, we get him in Rebels in a couple episodes. He shows up in an arc
Mhm.
with the guys in Geonosis. We can talk about that a little bit. Jedi Fallen Order,
Yep.
of course, Andor season 1, and he'll be in Andor season 2. He'll be in Bad Batch. So we got this character, and right now in the book I'm reading, Mask of Fear. He's in that. He's a prominent character in that, and he's kind of the partisan crew, like they were done with Alderaan, and it was kind of crazy. Is in that book they were going to offer him a governorship because of the work that he did, and then he fought back and wasn't going to be controlled by anybody. So I thought that was pretty nuts. And then is that the last one? Hang on. Yeah, so that might be it as far as the stuff we can talk about a little bit. But Mike, I want to ask you because you kind of went through Star Wars a little differently than I have.
Mhm.
When was the first time you saw Gerrera? Was it watching Andor, or was it watching like in your mad rush through Clone War, like when you were watching Clone Wars when you're kind of like binging Star Wars?
Rogue One would have been my first introduction
What'd
to
you think?
Saw. I mean, in Rogue One, you have Forrest Whitaker playing, and Forrest Whitaker is just a phenomenal actor. So just did an amazing job with the character. Um, for me, like I said, first time seeing him, I didn't know his backstory or anything like that, which you get in the Clone Wars, but just just so well played, and an individual that is perfect for the rebellion, who is willing to go after the prize no matter what. You know what I mean? He's willing to do whatever it takes to reach his goals. So it's the first time you're exposed to the dichotomy of Saw Gerrera. Is he a hero? Is he a
Yeah,
villain? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he a rebel? Is he a terrorist? He's
yeah, that's
kind of rides that line. He's all of those things.
yeah. Just looking on Instagram right now, we got Lacey Gillerin from the Resistance broadcast. She's been doing Star Wars for a long time,
Mhm.
highly respected, and I'm pretty pumped that you're so. Lacey, thanks for joining us. She says, "Hello, Saw is ready to fight in season 2." Yeah, that little
Yeah,
quote. He's like, "You're here, you fight," and I'm like,
I love
dude.
that quote.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. And then people online saying George isn't political with Star Wars. Yeah, I'm assuming that's a reference to Che Guerrera.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, George is a smart guy, and he pulled from all these different things, and I mean, all
Mhm.
the stuff that was happening because I think that was in the '60s and things like that. So I mean, these were the things that were influencing him.
Yeah.
You write Star Wars now. I know you could look to someone very specifically for a new emperor if you wanted to.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get political, but
Mhm.
it is a little scary, the book and things like that, how closely Mask of Fear kind of makes me feel about some things politically in this country. Um,
Well,
but I mean,
authoritarianism,
and I think
man,
Lacey has a
follows
good
the same
point. Like,
playbook every time.
yeah, I mean, yes, right. And
Yep.
then you get that in
And
Andor, but
it's the biggest lesson of history is we never
yeah,
learn anything from history.
nope.
It's
And I
just the
always
same
tell
thing over and over again.
my students that's the line. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Is the
Mhm.
biggest load of crap that we've been feeding students. I mean, we heard it when we were kids. My parents heard
Yeah.
it when they were kids.
Mhm.
It never changes. It just keeps going in circles. So,
Yep.
but anyways, so then you saw him in Rogue One. You didn't really know who he was. Of course, you probably enjoyed the character, right? Because he was
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Forrest
Yeah.
Whitaker just knocks it out of the park.
Mhm.
Um, with just takes him to a whole nother level. And then I'm assuming the next time because you watch Clone Wars, then Rebels.
Mhm.
All right, so you got to season 5 of Clone Wars, and you
Yep.
get the honor. I mean, that's episode 2. They do a little. I don't even know what the first arc is or the first episode is in season 5. But then season 5 starts on Alderaan. You get Steela and you get Saw, and you get it. They get them, and we got Kenobi, Anakin, Ahsoka got a little love story going on, a little love triangle
Mhm.
going on. Uh, what did you think of him during that?
Well, it gets right to the story of explaining uh, where he's coming from. You know what I mean? It's interesting to have it in that manner. Is you get introduced to the veteran that he is, and then the next time you see him, it's explaining his whole story. So it kind of changes, maybe changes your perspective on him because I mean they get right to it. He's trained by the Jedi and
Yeah,
whatnot.
by
They
Rex.
can't, yeah, they're not, they can't involve themselves in the war, so they have to train these partisans to, defend themselves. So there's already that sort of that piece to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you can't help us, but you can only give us this help. But we're doing the right thing. You're saying we're doing the right thing because you're helping us, but you can't step in and provide the real support that we need. So you get that piece of the puzzle, and then of course, he loses his sister, and
yeah,
that that's the next piece that someone who is in this situation is already fighting for what they're fighting for and loses everything. Like his sister meant everything to him, his only family, and she's gone. So you're right there teetering on the edge as it is. That's just pushing you over. And,
yeah,
it gives you the background and lets you know what this guy is. And you see how he got to be who he is.
yeah. The Saw Gerrera, the leader of the party.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was really well written. Um, those four episodes, because and there's a lot going on in those episodes, because they're not just about Saw and Steela, because you got Lux in there, you got that love triangle between Ahsoka and Steela, yeah, Steela, and but you get these flashes of Saw, like not wanting to be the leader, wanting to be in
Hmm.
charge. Like even though his sister was in charge, he defied her like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Throughout that arc, even when she was named like leader of it. Um, and then there was a part and I thought this was really telling. And when they rescue the king and they bring him back and they're talking about the fighting that's going on, they're winning the people, they're doing everything they want to do, and a lot of them, Steela and Lux and Ahsoka, like, we need to get the fighting outside of the city. And Saw's like, I don't care. Like, we just need to win. Like, he
Hmm.
shows that flash of like just being brutal and vicious.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wonder too, like you said, like, so there's his sister. I mean, obviously he cares about her. And they're fighting this battle together and they're getting forged. Is losing his sister, is that the reason he is the way he is? Because like he's so dedicated to the cause, his cause, um, because that's all he has now. Like that's his only thing. Like
Hmm.
that's driving him forward. We've got a lot of him in the backgrounds of things, as far as Jedi Fallen Order. He shows up in different places in Rebels, and he causes Mon Mothma some issues in and later in season 5 of Rebels, I believe, does that weird thing and kind of calls her out. Um, and of course, we get him in. He's kind of he uses people. Like I just wonder, is he ever gonna be happy? Like, is he ever gonna be content? Like, what does it take for him to be content before we get to Rogue One? Because, like, Rogue One, I think he's
Hmm.
over. Like, I think
Yeah.
he's done. He
Yeah.
is. I mean, he thinks Jyn Erso's there to kill him. He's lost his mind. I mean, he's
Hmm.
paranoid about it, and I get it. Like, he's been hunted, and I mean, both his legs are robotic. He can't breathe on his own. I mean, he's basically Darth Vader
Yeah.
without the cool helmet. Sitting there breathing bad, and pretty interesting. I would love to see what happens to him. I'm wondering if that's going to happen in Mask of Fear or any of the other books. But do you think he's ever going to be happy? Like Ken Saw Gerrera, the character that we see before we get to Rogue One, can he be content? Let's say they get Onderon back. Is he fine then? Like, if people leave him alone, is he good, or is he going to go fight more fights? Is it going to be like this big fight? Because now he's fighting the Empire,
I
right? Like,
yeah, I think it's a product of all these circumstances. So he's a young man put into this situation, and we know young men were aggressive. We we're willing to take a lot more risks. We're willing to do a lot of things that in our older age we're not going to do. So as you grow, you start to realize more about the world. But if something locks you into that situation where it's just fight, fight, fight,
yeah,
you never progress. And I think the fact if his sister hadn't died, that's what locks him into being just a complete psychopath. If he was able to win a war and progress and become older and have that capacity to learn and grow, yeah, you get a different Saw. You get a Saw that may at some point be able to, I did my part. It's time to retire. I'm going to be happy. But because he lost his sister in the way that he lost his sister, there's no turning back for that character. You get locked into that. I have nothing else to lose, and this is what I'm going to do with my life.
yeah, yeah. I kind of have a personal example of that. When I went through basic training, um, I was in the infantry. Mike was in the Navy himself, so we're both prior service. I was in the infantry. We're doing all that stuff, and it wasn't super. I mean, it's not Full Metal Jacket anymore. They've got
right.
rules. They can't do that kind of stuff to us, which is good. I will
Hmm.
not say that they don't do things they're not supposed to do, because
Yeah.
they do.
Hmm.
But I remember I came home shortly after, and my mom loves me. She's like, I don't even know who you are. Like, I was so focused on doing the things like, and this is just after 4 months
Yeah.
of being indoctrinated, basically,
Hmm.
of military objective. If you don't do the objective, you're gonna be punished. That was 4 months, and that wasn't even like, I wasn't being tortured. I mean, some
Right.
people thought they were being tortured, but, like, I can see, like, if you live that life long enough, like, had I
Yeah.
gone to, like, ranger school or something, right, I don't know if I would be here now. Like, I might have just that might have just been who I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that could just I can see myself going down that path when I'm not really that person. Like, I'm not a
Hmm.
tree hugger or anything like that, but I'm also like, I love my country. I wanted to defend it. I'm glad I did it. Um, and I'm proud of you for doing it too. And it's like, but like, man, when your mom says she doesn't, and in a loving
Yeah.
way, not in a mean way, she's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
know who you are. Like,
Hmm.
I had no sense of humor. I had no personality. I was just like,
Yeah.
what needs to be done? And
Well,
then I
how
did
many
it.
how many Marines did you meet? You know, early in their career. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's even worse. Like the Marines, every the point of boot camp is to break you down and rebuild you in the image that they want you in. But the Marines take it to a different level. Like it is, it's a zealous religion, honestly. Like those guys, any Marine I've met, and I met a lot of cool ones. I have a lot of respect for a lot of for those guys, but they were all off in some way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There is something that they do to those guys in boot camp that they flip that switch and they're a different kind of human being.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're the first ones in taking the bullets for everybody else. So God love them for what they do. But yeah, it's a different kind of situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see that. Like, I mean, because I just feel like that story kind of like, Saw's sister dies. He just becomes a fighter, and he
Hmm.
doesn't know how to do anything else but fight.
Yep.
And he's not much better than the people he's fighting when it comes to what he is and isn't willing to do.
Yeah.
So, um, I think that's kind of an interesting take on him, because, like, and I think he's also there to be like you got Mon Mothma, who doesn't even want to create an army after they win. Like, she doesn't want it. She just
Hmm.
wants everything to go back. And then you have him on the other side. Like, there's never anyone in the middle,
Yeah.
right? You've got the Jedi, you got the dark side, you've got Mon Mothma, you got Saw Gerrera. It's like,
Hmm.
can someone be down the middle and be like a little bit more
Yeah.
reasonable
Tie
when it
this all
comes to
together.
like, yeah. So I just, yeah, I wonder too, like, we did that episode on like powerful women in Star Wars, and Steela, I think we gave her an honorable mention. I can't remember. But watching that 4 episodes, and that's all we get of her.
Yeah.
Wow, man, would have been really different for her to still have been alive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, I get it, it's story and it's all, it's the animation and stuff like that, but I can't help but think things would have been a lot different for Saw, and
Hmm.
it would have been interesting. But I mean, I also kind of like the fact that I was reading, I can't remember if it was I think pretty much Wikipedia, and they said that like Dave Filoni and them put in there like they killed her because there had to be a consequence for rebellion.
Hmm.
And so like he had to learn right away that there is always consequences to what you're doing. And I
Yeah.
think that was a pretty valuable lesson, especially in those episodes. And I'm telling you what, too, people who think Clone Wars is for kids, you are nuts. I mean, they dropped
Yeah.
her off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
straight off a cliff, just
Hmm.
killed her. I mean, I'm not sure
There's
about you. Like, there's a lot of stuff in
yeah.
that show that is not not
There
for
might
kids.
be 8 episodes that are for kids. Other than that, like even the first episode, like you watch that first episode where Yoda's leading the clone troopers, and right away, this isn't a show for kids. And like I said, there's so many arcs within that show that they 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 talk about things like certain things that kids just aren't going to grasp. And the clone trooper that goes AWOL and wants to start a family.
Oh,
Like
that one's
what?
crazy to me.
Yeah,
That's where it
what?
changed for me.
Yeah, what do
Um,
kids like? That's not a story for kids.
no, like, why were they even Yeah.
The battle
Yeah,
for
no,
Geonosis, like there's so much. It's just not the only thing that I can think of is for kids is like that little frog looking dude that's leading the droids. Like
oh,
those
yeah, D Squadron.
episodes, like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Those were definitely for kids. Those were hard to get through, the droid episodes, but the
Those
rest
are
of the show,
my least favorite, and I've heard rumors
those
that
are
those are
terrible.
George Lucas's favorites or something like that, or Dave
Really?
Filoni's favorite episodes. Yeah, like, they
Okay.
love them. So I don't get it, but,
Oh,
I
I
mean, I'm not
hated
a
those.
creative. I didn't you think of all the things you created and all the
Yeah.
storylines that are in Clone Wars, but, um and then Saw, like, he's weaved in and out of the fabric of Star Wars, this time period, right?
Yeah.
Before at the fall of the Empire, or the fall of the Jedi, and then, I mean, even before, I mean, he's in there during Clone Wars. That's the first time we get to see him, and then we get to see him through the battles of stuff. And he's with Rebels, he's with Bad Batch. We get to see him with Cal Kestis. Like, he just, I kind of wish, and I again doing research, and I've seen this stuff, but I want to get back into it, and all these little things that we see and we miss. But found myself watching Rogue One, and then it's got sucked in back into that movie. Like, I couldn't get out of there. But like, I was kind of pissed, if I'm being honest, that he didn't run away. I don't think he would have made it,
Yeah.
obviously, with his robot legs, and he's
Yeah.
barely able to walk. But like, um, I was kind of like, "Why are you giving up?" So I like, like, I was kind of like yelling at my screen, like, "Why are you giving up? Like, this is like your whole life is fighting." And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm done."
Yeah.
I get it though. Your planet is exploding in front of you. I get it, but I
Mm.
still feel like there's a lot of story to tell with him, because like in the book, and this is right after the fall of the Jedi. This book takes place, the Mask of Fear. Um, he doesn't seem to have anything wrong with him, and it's a book I'm listening to on audio. There's always a chance I've missed something, but he seems to be perfectly fine at this point. So like, I don't know when all that
Yeah. He
we
starts
see.
losing limbs and
Yeah, it's
stuff. Yeah.
losing limbs and having, I'm assuming some kind of infection in his lungs and
Hmm.
or something. Like, I don't know when that all happens. And, you know, I would love a story of him and Jin, right?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
I want to know what happens between the time period where he takes Jin and he leaves Jin. Like, I want that story. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think happens in that? Like, what does that look like? Saw
And
Gerrera, father figure.
it would be interesting for sure.
There we go. Mega mode. Yeah, maybe he has a high speed burst. He can get out of there.
Yeah.
Carries everybody. But yeah, it bums me out that we don't get any more of them. Like, we'll get more of them in that section. But I mean, he
Yeah.
was pretty old by that point. But what is Papa Saw Gerrera like? Why does he teach a little girl? Hey, this is how you shoot somebody.
Yeah. It's I mean, you see, Jin has a different upbringing, that's for sure. So I guess that's it. It's not the untraditional rearing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, she learned a lot of things that most little girls don't get to learn. I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder too, like George being a fan of history, and all the guerrilla tactics we had to use in like the Revolutionary War.
Mhm.
Ethan Allen, the Green Mountain Boys, and Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, like all these guys who are doing all these, this rebellious type fighting. Like, do you need someone like Saw Gerrera to win a war?
I was going to ask the same exact thing. It's
Nice.
it's interesting, isn't it? Um, Saw would certainly think so. You know, a man like Luthen Rail certainly thinks that without him and without men like him, you can't win a revolution. Um, I don't know. You look at, like you said, like the Revolutionary War. We don't lose that. We don't win that war if we stand and fight. Just like what is conventional warfare.
Mm-mm.
Um, you don't win a war on the in the political realm necessarily. You don't win a war by negotiation. You don't win a war through treaties. There comes a point, unfortunately, where sometimes you have to stand up for what you believe in and you know take it to that level where if you're going to follow all the rules, you're never going to win because I mean the rules are always set by the status quo, by the people in charge. So when you're rebelling against that, there's no way to play by their rules. There's no way to fight their way and win. Like it's always set up for them to continue, uh, for them to win. So I guess you do kind of need a guy like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of think so too.
yeah,
Like
I
you
mean,
need someone who's willing to do the things that you don't want to have to do. Does
yeah,
that make you? Does that? I mean, I don't want to get into this like too philosophical, but does that make it okay? Like, I mean, does that make you better than And is your reasoning? Is the you're fighting the let's stick it with let's keep it with Saw. He's
yeah,
fighting the Empire. It's tyranny. They're vicious. I mean, they are wiping people out. They're eliminating species. They're destroying planets.
hmm,
And Saw is willing to do the same thing to win.
yeah,
Luthen is willing to do the same thing and win. Then you have someone like Mon Mothma who's part of that, and you have like Princess Leia who's part of that, and then the Jedi, of course, we get Luke. We get Luke Skywalker back and things like that, and they're not willing to do that. But I wonder, because without people like Andor and stuff like that getting
yeah,
the plans, and I mean,
yeah,
it's weird when you think about it realistically. In
yeah.
a setting like I don't like to have to think about it, but like what's happening in Ukraine right now, right? Is there a band of merry rebels that are just doing things that, like Ukrainian rebels that are doing things that, because they shouldn't be able to stand up to the might of Russia, but somehow they have been,
Somehow they
and you
have.
wonder what stories we're going to find out in 20 years, 10 years of
Yeah,
a village who fought back or people who are willing to do things that, I just, it's our and again like Lacey said like George people say he's not political he's definitely historical
yeah.
um in that
He's
so
definitely political as well. I mean,
yeah
you
100%.
listen to anything he says, but yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know, like as someone in charge, or even as a a citizen, okay, who doesn't like living under the yoke of oppression, who just you just want to run your business, you just want to raise your family, this or that. How do you feel about a guy like Saw? You know, on one hand, if taking you out and your family, your country, your whatever, your town, if it leads to freedom down the line, not necessarily for you, but down the line, he's willing to sacrifice you. So
Yes.
how do you feel about that? You
Yeah,
know,
no,
it's
that's super valid.
yeah. I mean, it's easy if you're on a planet where you're living in relative peace and kind of like in the United States, how often do we have to fear? attack or reprisal. We really don't. We send our soldiers off to other countries, and God, we hardly even think about it nowadays.
Yeah,
The things that they
awful.
have to do. And you're kind of in the same situation with a guy like Saw. Like, you appreciate that he's out there fighting for your freedom, doing what's necessary. But when you get down to the granular nature of it, like what he has to sacrifice, who he has to put through the ringer, what he has to give up to provide this freedom that, you know, we get to enjoy, it's it's rough, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I try to teach the kids like people hate us until they need us,
Hmm.
and I think that you could have the same relationship with Saw. Saw is kind of like a microcosm of like U.S. troops, right?
Yeah.
Like we're terrible when we're against you, but when you need us, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a hard thing to look at and decide like, do you need someone as vicious as Saw Gerrera to win a war? And it is war. It's not.
Hmm.
But then when you say it like that, you bring up that point where like he's willing to sacrifice you and your family. Like he will blow
Yeah.
you up if that means
Hmm.
taking out a general that happens to walk into your store.
Yeah.
He'll blow you
Yep.
up in a heartbeat and not think twice.
Hmm. Just
Um,
think about the his episode in um, Bad Batch, right? He's there to blow up the Empire's basically all the leaders in the Empire, right?
yeah,
I mean, Darth Vader's not there and the Emperor's not there, but their top general, their top scientists, all these higher up people, he's just going to blow them all up. And like the clone trooper said, they're just going to replace those guys. We need the
yeah,
intel here. That episode is so interesting. Like the clone troopers obviously have their own agenda, but in reality, the information that you could gain from tracking this guy and the information you could get from instead of Saw going in there and blowing them all up, doing the same thing the clones are doing, let's, get some intel and see what's going on from here because you blow those guys up, you're just gonna replace them. There's somebody else waiting in line. It doesn't
yeah,
matter. I mean, maybe if you can blow up the Emperor, that might make a difference, but
yeah,
in this situation, it's not going to make any difference. And what ends up happening, the clone troopers, their whole plan gets blown to hell, and then Tech dies.
yeah,
Our man Tech dies.
yeah.
Like that's going too far.
Saw Gerrera, you've stepped over the line. You've killed citizens and children, but you killed tech.
Yes.
It's taken it too far. Yeah, I forgot about him being the root cause of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
damn it, Saw. So,
And I mean, it is more than just. I mean, I love Tech, and it's more than that. But it's the whole thing that episode was trying to get across is, you know, that single-minded focus of just doing destruction, just killing whoever's in your way is not necessarily the best route, you know.
yeah,
And we talked about it. Perhaps you need a guy like Saw who is willing to do things, but at the same time, that guy that's willing to do those sort of things is a little off the deep end. And some of the things that he's pushing for may not be the sort of things you want to happen.
yeah, yeah. Kyber Christie says that's an interesting thing about him, too. Like, the info was not important to him. He just had to take out Empire pawns. Yeah,
Hmm.
Christie, you're 100% right. But yeah, not tech. Sad.
No.
I'm really proud of them for not bringing tech back, too. Like, I wanted them to come
Yeah.
back so badly, but
Yeah.
I'm really pumped that, like, there were actually consequences in
Yeah.
Star Wars. I mean, it
That
hurt.
episode, man, as they're getting on the ship to take off, and uh, what's the girl's name?
Omega?
No, not Omega, but Tech's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
When she comes over and says goodbye to him, it I didn't know what was going to happen, but when she comes over and talks to him, I'm like, wait, what's going on? Something bad is going to happen here.
Yeah.
Like even in hindsight, it's obviously yeah. Fee, thank you.
Yep, there
Fee
we
comes
go.
over and said, see you later, brown eyes or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is going on?
yeah.
Because
It'd
like
be
they were flirting a little bit before that, but that like her interaction with him, I knew, like, oh my god, what is going to
Yeah.
happen here? And two
I
episodes later,
boom. They spent some time getting us hooked on tech to do that to
mhm,
us. Like, if you go
yep,
back and you rewatch that season, there's more
hmm
tech in that season, and they just kinda pull you in, and then that man,
yep.
they just cut it out from underneath you, and it's just
hmm
like,
I
boom.
remember, I remember watching that. I'm plowing through the Bad Batch. I remember texting you. It was during that season. I'm like, oh, dude, tech is awesome. I love
Yeah,
tech.
I was like, "Oh, no."
2 episodes later, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
but
like,
you're
"Oh
right.
gosh." I think I looked at Molly, I'm like, "He doesn't know. He doesn't know."
I did not know.
Oh, man.
Ah,
Yeah, I was just waiting for the next text. I'm like, "If he's going through it this quickly, he'll get
yeah.
there." Um, I will say one thing about the book, and I don't wanna give too much away, but there's this character who works for the Separatists. He's kind of like a I would almost say a cyborg kind of, character because he's an alien creature, humanoid, but he gets all these implants and things like that. So I'm just gonna say cyborg,
Mm,
'cause that's what we know. And he's with Saw right now, and he has one person that we all know in Star Wars, and this other side character that you kind of getting attached to, and the secondary character wants to kill both of them because they kind of have them as hostages and stuff like that. And Saw's like making excuses not to do it, and that
mm,
guy, the cyborg character, is like, "You're not all that you talk. Like you talk a big game, but you're not necessarily as ruthless as you are." Now this is
mhm,
early. I mean, this is right at the beginning of the Empire. Like, this is like the Jedi have been taken out in Order 66,
mm,
and the war has been won. Make for Palpatine, and it's all this political stuff going back and forth. I mean, again, it's really hits close to home with these
yeah.
fanatics on both sides and things like
Yeah.
that. That character is like, you're not as mean and as nasty and as willing to do all these things like you say you are. And I thought that was interesting. There's two more books to come, so I'm
Yeah.
curious if, like, do we see the change? Is something going to happen
hmm
that's going to push him? I mean, he's already lost his sister at this point. He's fought
hmm
for Onderon. I mean, again, they were going to make him a governor at one point, like the
Yeah.
Empire was. So they wanted of like Onderon. He was going to be like in charge of it, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't lay down his weapons.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah, do you need someone like? And I wasn't even thinking that with Saw when we talked about doing this deep dive, and then it kind of just, like you said, it popped into our heads. Like, do you need
hmm
someone like Saw Gerrera,
Yeah.
which is a scary concept.
Yeah.
So, but this gives me more hype for Andor season 2 now too, though,
Yes.
especially with that scene. "You ready to fight?"
You're here.
So I'm pretty pumped. Any last thoughts or anything, Saw Gerrera? What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't think we've answered anything here. I think he is what we said in the beginning. He's all those things. He's a good guy, he's the bad guy. He's a rebel, he's a terrorist. He's the hero, he's the monster. He's all that wrapped into one man. Yeah. And apparently that's the sort of person you need to win a war.
Well, I can't say anything better than that. So for all of us and all the patriots and terrorists and that takes to win a war, I guess, terrifying as it is, um, and just get ready for Andor season 2 and see where he's
Yes.
at. Because I'm trying to think, is he all is he all um,
Mm,
mechanized in
I don't
Andor
know.
season 1? I just watched that. I can't remember. I don't know if they showed him. I'll have to go back and check
I
now.
don't yeah.
So we'll
I
see what
don't think he
happens.
was yeah.
But yeah,
When
we'll
does
end
it
up.
happen? Maybe it happens in season two.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah. Ooh. All right.
Well,
Well,
hey, I'd like to keep diving into this Andor stuff because it's coming quick and
yeah.
I'm excited. It's the next big thing. I want to keep talking about it. So anybody out there, you got some ideas of a good way to attack Andor season two rather than just a stroll down memory lane of season one. Dive into this character or that character, or this idea or that idea. Please let us know. We'll be happy to think about it. And if Jimmy and I think we can make 45 minutes out of it, we'll give it a go.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, we'll see everybody next week. Again, if you have any ideas for characters or what you want us to talk about, kind of building up to Andor season 2, just like Mike said, let us know. You can hit us up at all the social medias at Explore the Force, and you can also email us at exploretheforce@gmail.com. And if you have something longer you want to say, that'd be a great way to talk to us. And we will
Absolutely.
see you all next week. We have spoken.
See ya.